Namaskar friends, Pakistan is drowning, literally. It is drowning in floodwaters, in climate disasters, in poor planning and in political negligence. Monsoon rains are meant to be a blessing. This year they have been a curse for Pakistan. Villages have turned into lakes, rivers have run amok and families turned into refugees in their own homeland. I am Tilak Devasher and you are watching The Great Game Reloaded. Monsoon came early this year in Pakistan. Since 26th June, in fact. The National Disaster Management Authority, NDMA, has called it one of the deadliest monsoon seasons in years. Since the monsoons began, Pakistan has lost over 1,000 lives. Over 3,000 villages have been inundated. Bridges, roads and crops have been damaged, as have thousands of acres of farmland. More than 2.5 million people have been displaced all over the country. In the north, cloudbursts have flattened homes. In the south, one downpour was enough to paralyze Karachi, the financial capital. But is this really just about the monsoons? Or is it as much about poor governance, poor planning, and about a warming planet? Let's take a closer look at what is happening. The Indian subcontinent receives nearly 80% of its annual rainfall during the 4 monsoon months, June to September. For millennia, monsoon rains have been a blessing. They have sustained life by nourishing crops and replenishing rivers. This year, it has instead been a curse for the people who have drowned in its fury. Why? In a nutshell, climate change has supercharged the monsoon. Warmer air holds more moisture. More moisture means heavier rainfall. And when that moisture is released, it doesn't trickle down as gentle rain spread across months. It crashes down like a bomb. Cloudbursts, deluges, landslides. Boulders from steep slopes come crashing down with the water to flatten homes and reduce roads, bridges and villages to rubble. A cloudburst occurs when a large volume of rain falls in a very short period, usually more than 100 millimeters or about 4 inches within an hour over a localized area of, let's say, around 30 square kilometers or 11 square miles. This year, rainfall in Pakistan has been 50 to 60% above normal. In some districts, over 150 millimeters of rain fell in just 1 hour. Think about it. That's weeks of rain in minutes. As a result, water has overflowed and destroyed dwellings, illegal, dangerously located buildings, both near and far away from waterways, while mountains have washed away similar infrastructure because of massive illegal logging, which has removed the forest cover that Mother Nature had provided. Take Buner district in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. One cloudburst dumped 150 millimeters of rain in an hour. Landslides followed, villages vanished, and 300 people died in a single day. Flash floods and landslides swept away villages in Swat. This is not weather, that's a disaster. Punjab is perhaps witnessing the heaviest flooding in its history. 3 of Pakistan's biggest rivers, the Ravi, the Chenab and the Satluj, are in what authorities call a super flood stage simultaneously. Entire villages in Narowal, Sialkot and Kasur are underwater and floodwaters have reached Lahore. Thousands of homes, standing crops and critical infrastructure, including roads, bridges and power lines, have been destroyed or severely damaged. Close to 2 million people have been evacuated. In Balochistan, heavy rains damaging many houses and blocking the main highway to Sindh have impacted 15 districts. In the north, in Gilgit-Baltistan, another giant stirred, glaciers. Pakistan is home to over 7,000 glaciers, the largest outside the polar regions. Many of them are melting at record speed. Temperatures in Gilgit-Baltistan crossed 48 degrees centigrade, creating dangerous glacial lakes. Experts say Gilgit-Baltistan's glaciers are retreating by 5 to 30 meters every year. The result? Glacial lake outburst floods or GLOFs. When rising temperatures melt glaciers, they form lakes. These lakes don't last. They burst, unleashing walls of water and rock that wipe out anything in their path. Imagine a dam of ice bursting without warning. Entire valleys like Hasnabad and Gulmit have been swept away. A 45-year-old bridge on the Karakoram highway collapsed. This is the tragedy of Pakistan's mountains. When glaciers don't melt, rivers run dry. When they melt too fast, floods destroy everything. Hazard assessments of the damage indicate that nearly 30% of Gilgit-Baltistan's population is at immediate or medium risk from climate disasters, with many settlements requiring urgent relocation. Then there are the urban metropolises like Karachi and Lahore. In Karachi, even 2 hours of rain is enough to declare a public holiday. Why? Because the city's storm drains are choked with garbage. Illegal construction sits on waterways and sewage flows into rivers. And it is not over yet. At the time of recording, the Pakistan Meteorological Department has forecast fresh rains across the length and breadth of Pakistan, raising concerns of further destruction through urban flooding and landslides. Worse may be coming. Once the Indus joins the Jhelum, Chenab, Satluj, Ravi and Beas, the combined waters may overwhelm Sindh, the lowest riparian of the Indus system. The scale of the human tragedy is enormous, and more is believed to be coming. WaterAid warns of outbreak of cholera, diarrhea and dengue. Relief agencies say more than 1 million people are at risk of disease. Then there is the immediate economic cost. Floods are expected to fuel food inflation, echoing the 2022 crisis. Massive crop losses in Punjab and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa have already pushed up fruit and vegetable prices, with staples like wheat, rice and milk at risk. Cotton output would plunge, threatening GDP growth. Over the longer term, the economic fallout could include weakened rural demand, agribusiness loan defaults and rising import bills, exacerbating Pakistan's balance of payment challenges. In addition, would be the burden of rebuilding infrastructure. Let that sink in. More often than not, cities are sought to be saved by demolishing the embankments of swollen rivers. The result? Villages and farms are destroyed. The belief is that the rural areas can be sacrificed for the sake of the urban ones. With a population exceeding 250 million, Pakistan is among the world's most vulnerable nations to climate change, having repeated environmental disasters. The most severe in recent memory was the 2022 flooding, which killed nearly 1,700 people and displaced more than 30 million across the country. Damages were estimated at $30 billion. The 2022 floods were unexpected because of the areas they hit, ravaging arid or semi-arid parts of northern Sindh and Balochistan, areas that usually do not experience heavy rainfall. However, rainfall in 2025 has occurred within or around the region that normally experiences monsoon rain. What is unusual this time is the sheer intensity of the rain. Pakistan's above average rainfall this monsoon season has raised concerns of a repeat of the devastating 2022 floods. After the 2022 floods, Pakistan co-hosted a global donor conference with the UN in January 2023, where 10 billion was pledged. Guess how much arrived? Barely 2.8 million, mostly in loans. These disasters are not isolated. According to the Climate Risk Index 2025, Pakistan ranked first globally as the country most affected by extreme weather events in 2022, largely due to the catastrophic floods and heat waves. Reports from German Watch 2021 and the UN indicate climate-related losses exceeding $29 billion, primarily from recurring floods, droughts, heat waves, and glacial melt, with the 2022 super floods alone causing 30 billion in damages. But climate change is only half the story. The other half is man-made. Pakistani authorities have been accused of blaming cloudbursts, sudden intense rainfall, while ignoring poor urban planning and governance issues. While climate change does play a critical role in intensifying flood events in Pakistan, factors such as urbanization, deforestation, inadequate infrastructure, and poor river management have also contributed significantly. India too is facing severe flooding in the states of Punjab, Himachal, and Haryana due to abnormal monsoon. Despite holding the Indus Waters Treaty in abeyance after the Pahalgam atrocity, India warned Pakistan through diplomatic channels that it would release water from its major dams on the Ravi, Chenab and Satluj upstream due to heavy rains in the catchment areas. While some in Pakistan have called it water aggression and blamed India for the flooding, there are many who understand that India had no alternative. What would India do with the excessive water? Where could it store it? The fact is that the biggest culprit for the flooding is Pakistan's own neglect and mismanagement. Here's the thing. When you build luxury resorts on riverbanks, when forests are cut for profit, when drains are encroached upon, it's like writing your own obituary. Pakistan's own government have failed its people for decades. Take urban flooding. Cities like Karachi and Lahore drown after just a few hours of rain. Why? Because natural drains or nalas are clogged with 20,000 tons of garbage every single day. Because floodplains have been eaten up by luxury housing societies. Because forests have been cut down for timber and quick profits. Pakistan now has just 5% forest cover, the lowest in South Asia. Because of logging and corruption. When rain falls on bare mountains, water doesn't soak in. It runs down, gathering speed, carrying boulders, flattening homes. And then there is poor planning. Hotels and restaurants built right next to rivers. Entire neighborhoods constructed inside flood zones. In Swat, even ministers own riverside resorts. When floods come, nature washes it all away. Laws prohibit construction within 200 feet of rivers. Do people follow them? No. Politicians themselves build resorts on riverbanks. Compounding the situation are absurd statements made, for example, by the Defence Minister Khwaja Asif. No stranger to awkward statements, this time he has surpassed himself. He has suggested that people should take the floodwaters home. People should store this water at their homes, in tubs and containers. We should look at this water in the form of a blessing and hence should store it. Really, Mr. Defence Minister? Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif says, and I quote, "Natural disasters are act of God. Human blunders makes them worse." Unquote. He's right. But will his government fix it? Conventional wisdom says no. The challenge is that every government in Pakistan has seen security in hard military terms. Non-traditional security threats like climate change are considered unimportant. Not surprisingly, Pakistan spends US $9 billion on defense and less than US $10 million on countering climate change. Let that sink in. 9 billion on defense, 10 million on climate change. Pakistan is clearly fighting the wrong battles. While successive governments have made it a priority to seek international support for its climate programs, if Pakistan itself does not invest in its own climate infrastructure and resilience, can it expect others to support it? Until those priorities change, no amount of aid will save it. Every 14th August, Pakistan celebrates its creation. But every August, floods remind it of its vulnerabilities and dependence on foreign aid, on fragile systems, on prayers. Floods may be acts of nature. The suffering, however, is man-made. Pakistan is living a paradox. It is a land of rivers, yet it suffers from both floods and droughts. It is home to the largest number of glaciers outside the poles, yet its people struggle for water security. When the floods ravage Pakistan, leaders will make the necessary noises. Photo ops will be created for politicians providing relief to the victims. Once the floods subside, will Pakistan really take effective action and change? Or will it continue to drown every monsoon season, not just in water, but in denial? Thank you for watching. Please like, share and comment. See you soon with another episode. Till next time, I am Tilak Devasher. Namaskar and Jai Hind.